A woman will casually and incrementally offer you temptations and ways in which you can sell your soul and your timeline to her, which is your frame essentially, for the sake of pleasure. Just one little step at a time until finally you realize that you're no longer your own man. You've given away your timeline, you've given away your own essence, and you've given away your timelessness for the sake of a false timeline that this woman wants you to be on. So you have to be mindful of this. And this is why you have to recognize that a woman wants you, your voice of leadership, to be her favorite sound. But she doesn't want you to know that that's what she wants. And she doesn't want to want it, but that's what she wants. And so she will feel called to your sense of reason and your logic because she feels grounded now. She feels sane. She doesn't feel like she's going haywire. She's operating on more alpha waves now, more so than beta brain waves. And this is exactly what men who are dominant operate under. And it's alpha brainwaves, not because of the the name alpha and beta brainwaves is really, I think it's kind of a coincidence, but also not so much, because alpha brainwaves are more for calmness and digestion. You can also think about it as your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for fight or flight. If you've been in a lot of narcissistic relationships or in a lot of chaotic environments, that's going to be a really big hurdle for you to overcome when getting into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for your calmness and digestion and a state of ease. You can think about high altitude thoughts and high altitude feelings without being ungrounded, right? You're no longer in the clouds only to just be in the clouds. You're actually connected to the earth. It's just that your tree reaches up and has branches reaching to heaven, but it also has roots to hell. And so this is why you have to be very careful when it comes to this kind of thing. Because if you give away your timeline to women, or to really anybody, because at the end of the day, you're either on your own timeline and in timelessness with God, or you are giving away your critical faculties for the sake of someone else programming you with their own timeline that they want you to be on. And anybody that's been watching my videos recently has understood that I've been talking a lot about my timeline theory. And this has been blowing my mind day after day after day after day for the last week or so, since I've really formulated it more. In fact, it's only growing more potent, which tells me that it's undoing a lot of different things, and it's helping me see things in a much more clear way. And in a way, I also feel so much more grounded with this timeline theory. I see that there's much more to life to be had and understood, and yet nothing at all to be understood with in regard to the timeline theory. And so what I think men fail to realize is that they are not operating on their own timeline more often than not. They are trying to do things for the woman in the hopes that she's going to open up her pink palace for his phallus. And the fact of the matter is that she's not going to be attracted to you when you try to sell yourself to her. She wants to be the buyer. She just wants to buy. She doesn't want you to sell yourself. She just wants to buy. But the thing is that men are the buyers. Men are the choosers, really. Women are the ones who get chosen. And this is something in intersexual dynamics, right? And this is something many women don't want to admit, but that's just the fact of the matter. A lot of men in the red pill space and all this stuff, and the dating gurus out there will say that women are the gatekeepers of sex. I don't believe that's the case. I think men are the gatekeepers of sex, because guess what? Nobody would have sex if men were more disciplined. If men were more disciplined, we wouldn't have the family dynamics that we do today, where the nuclear family is being destroyed and it's gone nuclear. We wouldn't have all of these issues. We wouldn't have all of these temptations constantly arising. We wouldn't have all these women being led astray or leading men astray, because women don't have a sense of timeline. Oh my gosh, I just realized this. Whoa. See, this is what I mean. The timeline theory is just continually, it's continually blowing my own mind. So, holy moly. Because women operate in the moment and they don't have a perception of a timeline outside of themselves more often than not, because they're hyper emotional. Because of their emotional state and their hyper emotional state, women no longer have the capacity. It's not even no longer, it's just that they don't. Women do not have the capacity to see why they do what they do. And it's because in their world, time is a fantasy, when it's actually, at least the way that they perceive time, is a fantasy. They want to have things happen on their own time when they want it. But the fact of the matter is that they don't see it. Like, this is one of the reasons why women hit the wall at 30, right? This is at least the general stereotype, right? Why women hit the wall at 30 is when they realize that they wasted their 20s having all this fun. You know, I was communicating with a 19-year-old earlier today, and I asked her, I said, look, why, like, have you ever considered that school is fake? And why do you want to do this? Like, do you even want to work? You know, and she said that she wanted to work. She said that she liked the social aspect of it, because we all know women are communitarians. And it's like, well, what if you didn't have to be social? Like, what makes you think that you need to work in order to be social? Now, of course, money making is a social activity, but why, if you want to be social, why can't you just go hang out? Like, why can't you just go be with your girls or whatever? And what exactly is it that women believe is going to satisfy them in their work if it's only social activity? And so when I asked her, I said, do you really want to work? Like, what if I told you in 5 years you didn't have to work? What would you want your life to look like in 5 years? And she said, well, I would like a family, and I would like to have kids and a house. Like, I would like to have a house and kids. And I said, well, so why would you need a job to have that dream happen? It was like these questions were being asked to her for the first time, because they probably were. And it was just astounding to see that, you know, it's not their fault. Again, women, it's not their fault. They just literally cannot think ahead like this. They do not have a conception of time that is, whoa, I just had another epiphany. So their conception of time doesn't even exist on a timeline, but it doesn't exist in timelessness either. It's almost as if they're just simply living moment to moment, as if there is no time. And yet, for them, it's almost like time is a form of beauty, and they want to invest into it. That's why they get all of these different kinds of plastic surgery and birth control and SSRIs and such, which I believe all of this stuff is fallen angel technology. I genuinely think that antidepressants are fallen angel technology. I think that birth control is fallen angel technology. And I think that a lot of the plastic surgery that people go through is fallen angel technology. And it's not to say that there's not utility to some of this, because some people do need, like, SSRIs, for example. Like, they need it, but it doesn't mean that it's right, okay? It doesn't mean that it's right. It means that They're just in a place where they can't even connect to God. And because I genuinely think that if you are connecting to God, you're not going to need SSRIs. Like you're really not. This is one of the reasons why, as much as I have respect for and revere certain people in the masculine domain and worldly influence, for example, and I'm not going to say names exactly, although I revere these people, the fact that they're on some of them are on antidepressants, it tells me that something's off internally. Okay, because why would something be off internally? And like how if something is off internally, why exactly would you need to have a message to go externally? Like, of course, we're all imperfect beings, right? We're not perfect, and I know I'm not perfect, and I know that I'm not saying that I have all the answers or anything, but it's like, where exactly is the point in which what's going on internally is an issue for the message that you're trying to give, right? Because if you're coming from a place of fear and you don't even know you're coming from a place of fear, you're trying to protect your timeline. That's exactly what women do. Whoa, that's exactly what women do. Women try to protect women. Oh my gosh. Do women even exist on the timelines? Because there really are two types of people in the world, right? There are people that live in timelessness, and there are people that live on timelines. There's a sense of on a timeline being linear because they think about history being linear. And then there's people who exist in timelessness who see time to be non-linear because time isn't linear. It's just not. Yes, there's things, it can only be understood in retrospect for us because we're experiencing time linearly, but we can live beyond that. Like, think about meditation, for example, right? And this is one of the reasons why women really want to have a strong, dominant man, because the man who is calm, cool, and collected, his voice is going to echo that to her. Women pay attention to this kind of stuff a lot more, and you have to recognize this as a man. You have to recognize that women are way more attuned spiritually than you maybe give them credit for. They just don't even know it. They don't know that they are more spiritual. They just are. And so you can play that to your own, I wouldn't necessarily say advantage, because it's not really an advantage that you have as a man. It's just something that is. And you just know it. And when you just know it, you can operate and understand them more. But the thing is that I've noticed is that a lot of women they'll see your voice as something special, especially if you don't give your voice to many people for no reason. Like, it's one thing to be social, right? And to have social proof. That's definitely, in the grand scheme of things, although it's an illusion, it's an important illusion, right? Because it demonstrates timelines in which you're operating in competence. So if you can operate in competence, not operate incompetence, but operate in a sense of competence, make sure to understand that differentiation there, then you can live a more righteous life. And we have to recognize as godly men who are aiming to live a more righteous life, especially when it comes to our relationships with women, it's that we are not trying to be like Christ when it comes to women. We're not trying to be like Christ when it comes to having a relationship with women. We just have to be righteous. Okay, and that really goes with women and with everything. Don't try to be like Christ so much. Just be righteous. Stop trying to be like Christ. Okay, just be righteous. And it's because in your just being, in your internalization of the teachings of Christ, that's exactly where you are. Like, that's exactly what you become. Nietzsche said that a great man, I just see a person embodying his own ideals or something along those lines in the Beyond Good and Evil book that he wrote. And although I guess, I'm definitely understanding Nietzsche more and more every single day, because I used to think he was a bit too like anti-Christ, and now I'm seeing that I don't think he's anti-Christ at all. I think that he understood exactly what was going down. I think he understood exactly what he was talking about. And that's one of the reasons why he probably went crazy. And the reason is because he was literally like alone. Like the dude was alone. He was just beyond everybody else. And what else was he like, because it can make you feel crazy. When you're the only normal person, you feel like an alien. And in reality, they're all the aliens. We live in a world that is designed to not be truthful. We live in a world that is alien to us. And it's designed to be, and yet we're told and gaslit into believing that it's not. Like, think about all this feminism stuff. Think about all the lies women are told. Like, this is one of the reasons I asked that lady today. I said, do you want to work? Like, do you really want to work? Because the thing is I don't think most women really want to work if they want to admit it to themselves. They don't want to work. They want to, exactly what the woman said. She wants, in 5 years, she wants a house with kids. In that order. Like that was it. Like in that order, she wants a house with kids. That's it. That's all that they want. They want a house with kids. They don't want to actually do anything. And I'm not saying that they should. I'm just saying that, like, if my woman down the line, for example, if she wants to work, then yeah, she can work. But my aim is to get to the point to where she doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to. Because I don't want her to feel any unnecessary pressure. I think that it's okay for, like, that's on my timeline to figure out. Her timeline is going to be with God in a different way. Like, we're going to be sharing a timeline, and then I'm going to be on my own timeline. She's going to be on her own timeline. And yes, we're going to be sharing that experience of the timelines. But the aim is for me to exist in timelessness, while also providing for her in her timeline with our kids. Like, that would be the resonating and reputable factor in which I would see life 5 to 10 years from now. But that's the thing, right? Like, women, I think they're just deluded into believing that they want to work. I don't think they want to work. I really don't. And again, it's not that they're wrong for this. I think men want to work. And a lot of males don't want to work. See, that's the differentiation, right? Men want to work, males don't. Not all males are men. It's just as simple as that. Not all males are men. And it's interesting because the whole letter people really solidified that idea for us, because they're basically embodying complete psychological pathogens to further demonstrate the symbiotic relationship between nature, spirituality, and ourselves, because we think sometimes that we're different from nature. And it's like, no, we're one and the same. Like, this whole body is an organism, right? This whole body is one muscle, so to speak, as well. And that's one of the reasons why women will want to hear your voice of leadership, is because they can feel it, man. They feel when a man is on his own mission in his own sovereign space. They can feel it. They can sense it. They can experience it. They know what this is like. They may not be able to describe it. They may not be able to articulate it, but they understand that that's what's going on. That's what's happening. They understand that that's exactly what it is. Even though, again, they don't know that they understand it. And so, as a man, since your whole body, your one organism is one muscle, the ways in which you speak are going to determine how you actually live your life and how you actually lead your relationships. And women will be able to feel this. And this is one of the reasons why many people say that they can feel the weight of my words. And it's like, well, why is that? Well, because I aim not to say anything that I don't mean or that I don't say that I'm going to do. Because if I say I'm going to do something, it's going to happen. In fact, it's like magic, because I just don't make empty promises to myself anymore. It doesn't mean that I can't change the plan along the way and adjust as necessary, right? Like keep my plans a little bit loose, but be calculating enough to where if anything happens, I can see it happening. But also it's like, well, with women though, I have to also interact with them in that way, but also keep my word. So I'm always truthful, but sometimes I'm just a little vague. And so that's why they can feel the weight behind my words, though. And that's what women want. Women want to feel your presence. They really do. They want to feel your presence. They don't really care much about anything else. That's why it is spiritual, but your body, your physiognomy, your whole essence is one unit. It is one organism, it is one muscle, whatever, however you want to think about it. Okay, I've had a lot of people ask me about like looks maxing and such, and how, if I'm not a good looking person, then what's going to happen? It's like, this is, you're still caught up in the material world, dude. You're still caught up in the material world. Like, yes, the material world is important to understand. It's important to understand how to maneuver through it. But guess what? We're still spiritual, interdimensional beings and immortal souls at the end of the day. So keep that in mind. But anyways, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. If it was, consider scheduling the Godlike Master Initiation program that I have. If you have the finances and the time to do that, because that's really more of a commitment for most people, or a one-on-one session, or you can join the Regal Change Academy. We have the free tier that you can get access to the community, and then we have the premium tier where you get access to everything in the community, plus the calls and the classes. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. Stay blessed. Peace. Until next time.